Welcome back, eSIMstudios live stream. Don't even know what episode this is, but let me turn down the music. I've lost count at this point. It's got to be, I don't know, close to 300, but I want to welcome everybody in to the live stream. Appreciate, let me see, lighting. Maybe it needs a little more. Is that good? I guess that'll do. All right, so there we go. Turn down the music a little bit. How's everybody doing today? Brian, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. Came across some really, really interesting leaks, right? So, before we get started, I would like to mention the podcast, the live stream, the YouTube channel, sponsored by Just Jamaica. You can download it now at justjamaica.com, or you can go to your app store and search for Just Jamaica. If you're traveling to Jamaica, it will be your best friend, your travel companion. It is an official travel guide. Well, I guess technically it's not official, but we plan to make it official. But you can officially download it and use it right now, right? So if you're traveling to Jamaica, it will be your personalized travel guide app for Jamaica. So we got an interesting leak. Now we have some news in regards to Samsung when it comes to the leak. We also have Galaxy Tab S11 that launched. I went to bed late last night, and I saw like 3 a.m. Samsung was live streaming their launch, their Galaxy Tab event. And I was like, what the hell, at 3 a.m.? Well, apparently they did it in Korea, South Korea time. So it was, I guess, midday in Korea, while it was 3 a.m. our time. So probably the best Android tablet outside of iPad, right, is the Samsung Galaxy Tabs. They've really created their own little niche, their own little space if you don't want an iPad, right? If you don't want to deal with Apple and everything that comes with it, like myself, Galaxy Tabs are fantastic, right? I know Lenovo's got a one or two, but it's hard to beat the Samsung tablet, right? They basically do it the best. So we will get into the leak that's got the internet ablaze right now. If you get on social media, everybody's talking about this, and I thought, you know what? Let's talk about it. So I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, but how far along are we in the S25 lineup? So it was announced and released in January. We're in in September. So roughly 8 or 9 months. So we got another 3, maybe 4 months to go until the launch of the S26 series. Now, what do we know about the S26 series? Well, we know a few things, right? So we got early data, early leaks, official leaks that say Samsung is going to drop the Plus model. So there's going to be no more S26 Plus like there was S25 Plus, S24 Plus. It's the middle child. In fact, when they bumped it to 12 gigs of RAM in the S24 series, S24 Plus, previously S23 Plus in previous years, it was only 8 gigs of RAM. But when they bumped it to 12, just that one little move, and also you were able to upgrade the screen resolution. They also enabled QHD display in your settings, so you can go from Full HD Plus to QHD. That really set it apart from some other competitors, right? Now they're doing away with it, but have no fear. If you're a Plus model fan, if that was one of your favorites, right, I think you're gonna like their replacement. So Samsung is gonna, in place of that Plus model, Samsung's gonna put the Edge. They're gonna continue the Edge series. So they're gonna take out the Plus, insert the Edge. So next year, this upcoming S26 series, you're gonna have the S26 Pro. They added the Pro name to the end of the base model S26. I think that's a smart move. Just gives it a little more oomph, a little more officiality. It does have Pro specs, right? So I know people are going to say, well, they're copying Apple with the Pro naming. Well, it may not be the only aspect that they're copying Apple that we're going to get into in just a second. So you're going to have the S26 Plus, you're going to have the S26 Edge, and you're going to have the S26 Ultra. The Ultra line is their highest selling model. It basically doubles. If you combine the base model in the middle child model, which was the Plus, which will be now the Edge, if you combine the base model in the medium-sized model, if you add those two sales together, they still don't even equal what the Ultra sells. I mean, it's their number one seller. It's their flagship device, right? Every year I get an Ultra. I freaking love it. It's my number one daily driver. So at least for right now, now that it doesn't overheat, I think their beta program, the Android 16, fixed the thermals on there. So, but that's not what has everybody in an uproar today. So what has everybody in an uproar? Well, the iPhone 17 series is coming out on the 9th, so roughly 4 or 5 days from now. Apple's launching the iPhone 17, iPhone 17 Pro, iPhone 17 Air, and iPhone 17 Pro Max. We've all seen their new design. They're basically going to keep the same design on the 17 series. They're just, if you look at the camera, actually, you know what? Let me pull up a iPhone 17 Pro Max. Let's do that, and I'll show you exactly what it's going to look like. So here's what the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to look like, right? Let me share this. So this is what the iPhone 17... There we go. This is what the iPhone 17 Pro Max is going to... Well, iPhone 17 Pro and iPhone 17 Pro Max, right? That's what it's going to look like. Basically the same design. They just stretched out the auto laser focus and the flash to the other side of the device. Cameras still stay in the same place. So Apple roughly can say an all new redesigned iPhone 17, when in actuality it's basically the same with just a couple different looks. On the inside, the device is going to be 99% the same. It's just on the outside is where it looks different, right? Well, what has the internet in an uproar today is Samsung. Well, not Sam. Well, here, I'll get to the conspiracy theory here shortly. But there was a leak today from the upcoming S26 series. Now, this is not abnormal, right? Every other phone company always looks to steal some shine away from a competitor's launch and or release, right? It happens every year. It happens at every launch. So when Samsung's getting ready to launch their upcoming S26 series, Google will slide in there and promote something that has to do with the 9A series, or OnePlus, or even when the Pixels were coming out, you saw some iPhone stuff. So every now and then you'll see a competitor try to steal some shine away, some attention away from the launch and or release of whatever device it is, right? Well, today we got a leak, and let me show you what these new S26 series devices from Samsung looks like, right? So check this out. Do you see any familiarity? Do you see any familiarity at all? Let me see if I can fit all three on there. Let me see if I can fit myself. I cannot. Anyways, that's what the that's what the Samsung Galaxy S26 looks like. Does any one of those three look familiar? So you're going to have a slight design change on the smaller, on the left side, S26 now Pro. It's going to have the same camera array, same camera setup that looks similar to the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 7. You're going to have the 3 sensors on the back that are in a row on the left-hand side, which is basically exactly what the S25 looks like, S24, S23. Except you get a camera island in and around those sensors. Now, let's go to the big boy, all the way on the right, the S26 Ultra. Same thing. You're getting the three camera sensors down in a row. You're getting the 4th, and then you're getting a flash as well. Now, those 3 main sensors also have a camera island wrapped around those cameras. Now, why are they putting camera islands on there? Well, for one thing, Samsung is actually, while Google on the Pixel 10 Pro XL is adding weight, it made it a tiny bit thicker. Samsung's doing the complete opposite. So the executives at Samsung love the S25 Edge so much that they were like, you know what? Why don't we make every device thinner and lighter? And that's what they're going to do. Now, the S26 Ultra is not going to be the same thinness as the S25 Edge or S26 Edge, but it will be thinner. So the current thickness of the S25 Ultra is like 8.3 millimeters thick. Well, they're going to shave a millimeter off of the thickness of the Ultra. So it's going to be thinner, and it's going to be lighter, the S26 Ultra, than the S25 Ultra. Same thing with the base S26 and now S26 Pro. They're going to make it thinner, and they're going to make it lighter. So when you have the same size camera sensors, but you make the device thinner, the camera sensors will protrude more out from the back of the device, right? So that's the reason why they're adding that camera island around those sensors, is to make those camera sensors less noticeable, or make it so they don't protrude so far from the back of the device. Because if they did not have that camera island, you would have some ginormous camera sensors, just 3 big cylinders sitting way above the back of the phone, right? So they put that camera island there to make it look like they're not sticking out that far, because they are making these devices thinner. Now let's get to the middle device, and this is the one that's creating all the buzz online, right? And that's the S26 Edge. Looks mighty familiar to the iPhone 17 Pro and 17 Pro Max. See what I'm saying? Looks mighty, mighty familiar. Now, why would Samsung do that? I made a video, I don't know, a couple months ago, maybe 3-4 months ago, maybe longer than that. I can't remember. But I can remember is that the Samsung CEO, they have a lot of different departments, right? They make washers and dryers, they make refrigerators, they make robot vacuums, they make tablets, they make phones, they make all computers, all sorts of stuff. And each division has a lead of that head of that division. Well, there was word, I don't know, 6-7 months ago, the head of Samsung, the boss of all bosses, was livid at their mobile division, was pissed off at their mobile division because they were starting to look a lot like Apple as far as their products they were putting out in their mobile division. Galaxy Buds 3 look mighty similar to Galaxy Buds 3 Pro, look mighty similar to the Apple AirPods. So were some other devices, right? Some of their little questionable, starting to look like they're starting to copy Apple a little bit. Well, he was pissed off. And at that time, I was like, well, how does he not have final word, final approval of their products, right? How is he finding out when we're finding out? Like, that sound incomprehensible to me, but apparently that's what happened. Now, this, I think, would be blatantly copying. I think at this point, somebody needs to get fired, right? Like, somebody needs to go. Now, I honestly, here's where we get to the conspiracy. I don't think Samsung is going to put this out, meaning this, the way it looks. So they're definitely putting out an S26 Edge, like there will be an Edge model. I mentioned at the very beginning of this that some phone companies will try to steal some luster, will try to steal some attention away from their competitors while their competitors launches a new device. And what does that do? That just puts that idea in the back of the consumer's head of like thinking, oh yeah, Samsung's going to be putting out a phone relatively soon. Maybe I should wait for that. Even if it steals 0.01% of the, even, you know, with iPhone, there's millions and millions and millions of buyers. Even if they could steal 100,000 people out of those 88 million people that bought iPhones last year, it generates revenue for the company, right? So for Samsung. So I think we're getting a little bit of that. I think Samsung didn't officially leak these images. What they did is they gave these images to a leaker online, and then they leaked them. Now, I think Samsung gave these to a influencer to leak this image to create buzz online, right? I mean, it worked. I'm making a video about it. I think they did this just to get attention. I'm not gonna like, look, I'm willing to bet a fair amount that the S26 Edge is not going to look like this. I think they just put it out there to get attention. So if you're asking, well, what is it going to look like then? I think it's going to look similar to to the design that we had this year, the S25 Edge, where it has those two main sensors with a small camera island around it. Now, look for that camera island to get a little bit bigger because they are making it thinner. So what we do know about the S26 Edge, it's going to have, I'm assuming, the 7-core Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 2 for the CPU. It's going to be thinner. So they're going to shave another 0.5 millimeter off of it, so it'll be even thinner this upcoming year. It's going to be even lighter this upcoming year. And they're also increasing the battery size. So instead of having a 3,800 milliamp per hour battery that was found on the S25 Edge, you're going to find a 4,200 milliamp per hour battery on the S26 Edge. And since it's getting thinner, that camera island that goes around the sensors probably going to get a little bit bigger, right? But I honestly believe, this is not going to be the final product. I think basically Samsung is trolling Apple because Apple's new iPhone 17 comes out. Now, series comes out. Now, speaking of the iPhone 17 series, I believe, speaking of thin phones, I believe that the iPhone 17 Air, their super thin version, is going to flop. Now, when I say flop, what do I mean? Do I mean sales that's not going to sell well? Do I mean they're going to be faced with a bunch of issues right when they release it? Do I mean customer satisfaction, meaning consumers that buy it are not going to really like it or have issues? I think all of the above. Now, are they going to sell the Air? Are they going to sell well? I don't know. The idea in theory sounded well. In fact, when I first heard about it, I was like, well, hell, I'm going to get one. And then as time went on and you realize it only has one sensor, one camera on the back. It only has like a 2800 milliamp per hour battery. And then the report came out 2 months ago that 7 out of 10 people, when testing it internally, 7 out of 10 could only, 7 out of 10 people did not make it throughout the day, meaning on one charge, meaning 70% of those that tested, the battery died, went to zero before the day ended. Now, I didn't get details, right? Is that meaning from when they wake up to when they go to sleep? Is that between business hours, between 9 and 5? I have no idea. But when a report comes out that says 70% of internal testers could not make it throughout the day on one charge, man, that's a problem. Especially with such a small battery. In one camera sensor, really? Like, what am I going to do with that? What is anybody going to do with that? It's not an ultra wide. It's not a telescope. It's not a periscope. It's just a main sensor. It's a wide angle main sensor. That's it. Right? I mean, come on. At least Samsung puts 2 on theirs, and one is a 200 megapixel sensor, right? So I'm sure they're going to sell some. And look, it's the S25 Edge is a pretty thin phone, but this new iPhone 17 Air is supposed to be paper thin. And if any of y'all seen pictures or leaks on that, it's pretty incredible what they're doing as far as thinness, but I don't think it's worth buying. It's cool, but I don't think so. I don't think so. What's going on, West Davis? Yes, Samsung. Yes. Now, if they follow through with these renders, meaning if Samsung does put out their S26 Edge that looks like that middle device there, yeah, they're copying Apple. I mean, check this out. You see that middle device? Now watch this. I mean, why would Samsung go away? Why would Samsung go away with their iconic camera setup, right? Because when you have Google, when you have Apple, when you have Samsung, all three of them, it's kind of like we all want something different, something that looks different. But the fact is, it's kind of hard to do something different. I mean, of course they can, but Apple's got their little camera trio set up, and those 3 cameras in a triangle design up there on the top left. They've been on that for like 7-8 years now. Google now has their iconic camera bar across the top, right? Samsung's got their iconic 3 camera setup going top to bottom on the left hand side. So for Samsung to get away from the camera setup, now not necessarily get away from that camera setup, but the way it's laid out with that rectangle across the back, yes, they would be copying Apple for sure. 1000%. They did last year. They did on a couple of devices, yes. The middle phone kind of looks like the upcoming iPhone 17 series. It sure does. I hope, T Kang says, I hope they improve the cooling even further. S25 Ultra throttled more than OnePlus 13, which has a larger vapor chamber. I think they will. Every video, and I made quite a few videos about my S25 Ultra overheating. In fact, if you go through my video history, There was about a 2 week span where I probably made, I don't know, 5 or 6 videos. I was pissed off. I was very, very upset because the S25 Ultra, that's our flagship device. Every year you expect that device. We have, as Samsung fans, even if you're not a Samsung fan, what do you know about the Ultra series, right? Very, very high expectations. And for them to have something, and it's not even like a camera issue, it's not even like a software or a screen issue, right? Or the battery dies fast. It's the freaking thing was hot as hell every time I turned it on, and it pissed me off. And I let them have it. In every video I made, I added Samsung, added Samsung, added Samsung. Now, I'm not telling you that, they subscribe to my channel and watch every single video, but I think they will improve upon it. I think they will. I have faith, right? I think they will. Every year it gets a little bigger, a little better as far as their vapor chamber, their cooling, their thermals. Well, in theory, it should get a little better. This year seemed like they took a step back in that department, but I'm talking hardware-wise, right? Like every year they'll put a little bigger vape. Now, I don't necessarily think that was Samsung's fault, although it is their fault. It is their device. If you want me to be quite honest with you, I almost feel like the processor is too powerful, and I never thought I would say that in a million years. That thing cranks out some power, and I think they just need to tone it down a bit. Now, I almost wish the Snapdragon CPU that they put in the S25 Edge, that was the sweet spot. The S25 Edge has the Snapdragon 8 Elite. However, it's the 7-core 8 Elite, not the 8-core that's put in the OnePlus 13 or its bigger brother, the S25 Ultra. They removed a core. What that did is essentially, it's like removing a cylinder from a V8 engine, right? Now, obviously, if you could fine-tune it, it wouldn't run right with 7 cylinders, but in theory, it generates less heat, right? The S25 Ultra, no issues whatsoever. Beautiful, just nice and smooth, nice and cool. I almost wish they put the 7-core CPU in the Ultra, but I think they'll get it together this year. I have faith, but we'll wait and see. If it gets hot, I'm going to certainly let you know. I'm definitely going to be getting one. I'm going to try to get the Edge and the Ultra. What's going on, sir? Daniel, what's going on? Hey, I put your cases in the mail yesterday. So if you check the tracking, they should be on their way to you. I do apologize for getting them to you late, but I did drop them in the mail yesterday. Let's see. I missed the whole discussion, but if they blatantly copy Apple's designs here, I'm just going to skip that generation. Kind of outrageous. Yeah, and that's why I have a hard time believing they're actually going to do it, right? I think they're trolling. At least I hope so. Yeah, if let's say they do, let's say Samsung does go forward with this design, and at least one out of the 3 has that iPhone 17 Pro Max design, God, I'm gonna roast them, and I think everybody on YouTube, everybody on social media should too. They deserve to be blasted. If they go this far and copy them, it looks like you're not even competing against Apple at this point. It looks like you're just trying to hold on to their coattails for dear life, right? Like that's why I have a hard time believing this. I'm almost in disbelief sitting here. That's why I'm like, they gotta be trolling, right? Like, I don't really believe this. No, and let's get into that. Daniel asked, has anybody reserved a Tab Samsung Galaxy Tab S11 today? No, but I might. Let's see. Well, let's see here. Since we'll stick on Samsung, but let's move to the Samsung Galaxy Tab S11 and S11 Ultra. Now, I've had a number of these. They are fantastic. Samsung Galaxy Tab S11. Let's do I'll go to GSM, or we'll go to the Samsung website to look at the trade-in deals, and then we'll go to GSM Arena and look at the specs. Let's see here. I think you can now, I was looking at it last night during Samsung's live stream at like 3 a.m. Samsung allows for phones to be traded in. Of course, they always did for upcoming tablets, but now they give you like real trade-in offerings, meaning like before, like for the S9 series, for the S10 series, you could trade in a phone as your trade-in, but they give you it was like a couple $100 for last year's flagship. Now this year, I think they're giving 500-600. Let's see here. Let me remove this. And let me share screen to this. Okay. So let's see what we got here. Let's look at the trade-in. Powerful meets thin, smarter AI. $950, including up to $150 towards storage upgrade. Okay, so it's if y'all have never bought a tablet from Samsung, it's basically like the phones, right? They got trade-in deals. You can upgrade double your storage. Now, one negative I heard, and I don't know if it's true, but I did see that the S Pen on here is not Bluetooth like the S25 Ultra, which would be a bummer. Thinner, lighter, durable like no other. Thin that packs it all in. So it looks like their Samsung Galaxy Tab S11 is an 11-inch. It looks like the Tab S11 Ultra is what, their 14.6 inch. Now I've had both the Plus model, which they got rid of, but the S11 is essentially in between the base. They're only doing 2 models this year. They're not doing the base. They're not doing the Plus, but they are doing the Ultra, and then just I guess they are doing a base S11. But the base models in previous years were like a 9-point-something inch display, which is rather small. Their Plus was like a 12.4 inch display, and then their Ultra was always a 14.6. So they still have the 14.6 inch Ultra, but the other tablet that they're offering is like 12.4. So it's right in that sweet spot. Actually, no, I take that back. It's 11. It's 11 inches. My bad. So let's see. Let's look at the trade-ins. I don't want to look at this anymore. Let's see how much they are, right? So, yikes. So a S11 Ultra is essentially, now retail, let's do this. Retail price shows for $13.19. You can get it on a launch day, $120 in savings, so it comes out to roughly $1,200 for the Ultra, and then $859 or $860 for the S11, the base model. But let's see, as we all know, Samsung has one of the better trade-in programs, so you can double your storage. You can't even get the 256 right now. The base is 512. Are we still in the Ultra? Yeah. Let's see these trade-in deals. So you can trade in. Let's see the previous generation tablet, because sometimes what I'll do is I'll just jump on eBay, grab a cheaper previous generation model, and get like freaking $500-600 off, right? So let's see what we get. Okay, so the previous generation Tab S10 Ultra gets you $800. Tab S9 Ultra gets you $700. That's a good deal. Tab S10 Plus, $650. That's a good deal. You can find some of these that get you $450 to $650 off right here, right in the middle of this. You could probably find those on eBay. I haven't looked, but I'm about to. You could probably find some, or even on OfferUp or Mercari. If you do a good search, you could find one, a used one for sale for a few hundred or a couple $100, $200 to $300, and then you could purchase that, trade it in, get $650, possibly maybe a little bit more off, trade that in and get you a new tablet. That's what I typically do, right? Now let me look at phones. So let's say you purchased let's say you get an S9 Ultra. What does that drop it 2 years ago? What does that drop it down to? $499? Not bad for something that's, I mean, you're still going to pay an extra $200 for the tablet, or a couple $100 for the tablet. So you end up saving a few $100. You know, if you need a tablet, this is certainly a good one to purchase. But let me look at the phone trade-ins, because that's what did surprise me. Most people have phones laying around, not tablets. Let's see here. Let's go to, Jesus, where is this? Oh, edit. So let's go to mobile phone. Let's see, any Samsung phones here. So they have, see, they added S25 Ultra. This morning when I checked when it was live, they must tinker with this quite a bit during these events, because earlier this morning you could not trade in the S25 Ultra. Because I was like, damn, you can't trade in an S25 Ultra? This was not available to trade in. Now it is here on their website. But you can trade in a, if you have one of these devices laying around. I'm not sure if any of these would be adequate. I'm not sure if you can find a really good deal, because this Fold 6, that's an expensive device still. I'm not sure if any of these would be that great to find one online that's cheap, buy it just in order to trade that in to get more money off. Now, if you have one of these devices, or it's a spare device, or you're just looking to get rid of something and you want to trade it in for a new tablet, that's a good idea while you go to a carrier and upgrade another phone. Let's look at what other let's look at what other brands they got for sale here. Apple, iPhone 15 Pro Max, $655 off. 16 Pro Max, 16 Plus, 16. Yeah, they're decent. A lot better than they were in the previous years. Now, do they take Google? They sure do. Okay, so you can trade in your Pixel 9 Pro for $559 off, right? They don't have the XL on here? They do not. Interesting. So there you have it. Now, what CPU does this have? Are they still going with MediaTek? Let's look at their smaller tablet. The Ultra is ginormous. Let me look at this smaller one and see what. I bet you can get much better deals. And the small one's not that. So an 11-inch display, still decent enough, right? The 14.6-inch display on the Ultra is huge. It is enormous. Let's see here. Let's just say you wanted to go with a 256, right? Oh, screw it. We'll go with the 512. Let's see. Trade in. Let's go with a previous tablet. Usually you get more. Okay, so they're the same trade-in prices. I didn't know if they would vary depending on if it was the S11 Ultra or standard S11. Okay, so if you want to trade in like a previous generation, you got to pay $259. You can find some good S10 Plus or S9 Plus tablets on eBay for a couple $100. So that may be a pretty good deal. Getting the Tab S11, finding you a decent trade-in on eBay, purchase that, and then when you get that in, use that as your trade-in. So definitely wouldn't buy one of these outright at the MSRP, but you can find some good deals. Let's go look at the specs. So this is the Tab S11 Ultra before we get out of here. It's got that MediaTek Dimensity 9400, 3 nanometer octa-core. It's got the Immortals G925, Android 16, One UI 8. It's got 12 gigs of RAM. 12 gigs of RAM. It has 16 gigs of RAM on the 1 terabyte model. Let's see here. Anything else that stands out? Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 5.4, USB Type-C 3.2. Of course, they always get you with those magnetic keyboards, right? Huh. This person states, if anything, it's actually a downgrade in areas that matter. First thing they did was use the compare feature here on GSM Arena to compare it to the S10 Ultra. And man, this thing shouldn't have been released at all. So where is it a downgrade? The fact people are actually going to war over MediaTek versus Qualcomm is crazy. Both are good chip manufacturers. Both flagship chips. Interesting. Huh. I had no issues with the MediaTek CPU that I use on my S10 Plus. I don't know. Never had any issues with mine. Interesting. Yeah, so that was released. If you're interested, I will put a link in the video description here once this is done. But keep an eye on the iPhone release. So I don't know if I'm going to get one or not, honestly. I have no idea. I don't use mine. So I just don't see the point. But I might. Who knows? But I guess we'll cover it. I mean, we obviously should. When they are launched on... What day is that? It's the 9th, right? September 9. So that would be next Tuesday. Next Tuesday we will cover, I guess, iPhone release. See what the specs have to offer. See what prices they're going to come in at. See what, if anything, they're going to do to the iPhone 17 Air. We shall have an Apple Field Day next Tuesday. So I'm going to run in a first NFL game of the year starting. So I think kickoff just started. I do appreciate the time. I'm going to go watch some football. And thank you for all the support. T-King says, I think Samsung will go too far if they ditch the SIM tray plus eSIM and go completely eSIM. Google definitely copied Apple with their Pixel 10 series. Yeah, I do not. Look, we're eSIMstudios over here. But just because we're eSIMstudios and I use eSIM doesn't mean that I think it's the best idea for the industry. Again, I was disappointed when Google went to eSIM only. And I initially thought that would be okay because they are in the background working on and developing an eSIM transfer tool that was supposed to be launched with this new Pixel series that would make eSIM transfers nice and easy. And did they do that? They did not. And I've wasted probably an hour on the phone between the few Pixels we got here transferring eSIMs, and I had to factory reset one of them, and oh crap, I forgot to delete the eSIM off of this phone. Now I have to call T-Mobile back to issue a new. It's a hassle. So if Google can finally put out their eSIM transfer tool, make it easy, like iPhone has made it easy to transfer eSIMs, it'll put a lot more people at ease. But until then, it's still a pain in the ass. So I hope Samsung does not do that. Maybe they'll come up with their own eSIM transfer tool. Maybe Samsung will do it, take it on by themselves and say, forget you, Google, we're going to do our own transfer tool. It probably should, right? So who knows? But until we get a nice and easy eSIM transfer method, I'm not going to fully support it. Even though I like it, I know the masses do not, and it is still a pain in the ass to transfer eSIMs, download eSIMs, call your carrier, have them email you a new QR code. Still a pain in the ass. So I agree with you on that comment right now. Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. Samsung did do this last time, and I didn't say anything. I attempted to return. I can't even remember what phone. Maybe it was a tablet. I cannot remember. Yeah, that's right. I'm not encouraging anybody to do this. Daniel brought up a point that they offered the same thing to me. Now, I never said anything, but if you purchase a device, and I'm assuming it's, well, I don't know if it refers to washers and dryers, but I do know a phone and or tablet this will work. And I'm certainly not encouraging it. But if you purchase something from them, let's say this tablet, and then you contact Samsung to set up a return, yeah, they'll offer you like 10%. I think they offered me, it was something like that, 10-12%, which comes out to a couple $100 or $150 rebate or refund you $150 just to keep the device. Now, I was in a position where I didn't need, or I needed to return the device, right? So I was like, no, I'm good. I want to continue the return. But I do remember them offering that to me. You bring up a good point. At least they take iPhones. Apple wouldn't take anything except for their devices. Yeah, Apple's got, they're one of the most hideous trade-in programs, because they give you, and I think they do that on purpose. If you want to trade in a Pixel for a new iPhone, oh, they give you way under market value, and they do that on purpose. They want to shit on you Pixel users. They want to shit on you Samsung users. That's the only thing I can think of, right? Because why else? Because you could sell it and get like almost 2 to 3 times the amount that they're offering for trade-in, right? I think the year's iPhone is planned to be a big enough upgrade. I might get one. They're all felt like the same to me since the 12 series. Yeah, you got that right. I mean, look, technically they do look different. But, you know, it is what it is. I may or may not get one. I just don't know. But let me get out of here. I think the game just started. So appreciate the time. I'm going to see y'all tomorrow. I have case reviews for tomorrow's Friday. We're going to do a case giveaway Friday. So we'll do another giveaway tomorrow. Join me. I'll schedule the live stream early. It won't just be a pop-up live stream. I'm going to schedule it earlier in the day, and I'll do a giveaway tomorrow. I need to get rid of these cases. So join me tomorrow. Maybe you could win something. I got case reviews coming up, and a bunch of stuff for the Pixel and the OnePlus 13 and Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. I got cases in the mail to review for that as well. So I'll see y'all tomorrow. Let me get out of here. Peace.